Hey, do you guys want to talk about video games? Maybe like 10 of them. Does that sound good? How about the 10 video games that changed my life? Let's do those. That sounds fun, right? It's not a very honest title. I'm going to be very forward with you. Not a very honest title. There aren't 10 video games that have changed my life. There aren't. I have not experienced 10 different video games that changed me. But I've made videos recently, the 10 books that changed my life, the 10 albums that changed my life, and I wanted to talk about video games, but I didn't want to name it like 10 video games I like, but that's probably more accurate. Which isn't saying anything against video games as an art form. I think that video games and ballet are the two most impressive art forms on the planet, and I think have the most potential. I think like ballet has obviously proved its worth, its power, its transformative qualities, and the components of live dance that is gripping and irreplaceable, right? Video games, I think, are a phenomenal form of art. It's the most interactive clearly the most interactive form of art possible. It completely changes the way that narratives are formed. It there's a lot. I would say there's a lot of potential for video games, but video games have been around for far longer than I've been alive. Maybe I can say I wish there was more pioneering done within the form to kind of prove its power. But then again, I think that would be betraying a large part of what makes a video game great. I don't like it when video games try to be cinematic. It reminds me of something Frank Miller said about comic books. He's like, I don't want to see Superman sweat. I want to see him fly. I don't want comic books to become more like television, and I feel like I don't want video games to be like cinema. Uh, Same with like television. I don't want television to be like cinema. Um, I don't want something to try to be like something else, especially when I think that video games are incredibly relevant and films are increasingly irrelevant. I think that video games are incredibly interesting. And I do love video games. I think my list is going to be almost aggressively normy. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm deeper in this shit than even I realize. But I definitely don't know as much about video games as I do about film or television or books or music. I definitely don't. So, here are 10 games that I really like. I'm not sure if any of them have changed me, but as like a visceral, tactile, like physical and emotional like experience, like video games could be the most powerful form of art in the world. But, there's something lacking. Once video games figures that out, then like we're all fucked anyway. Go home, kill yourself, it's fine. That got aggressive. Welcome to my channel where the fun never ends, where we can go from massive hyperbolic ever flowing soliloquies about how much I love something that normally ends quite aggressively with me reminding you that there's nothing I hate more than myself. So, yeah, this is your first video. Fucking strap in. The alienation never ends on your cold boyfriend, bro. You don't play video games too much. I really don't though. Okay, I don't. Sorry. But there are 10 that I really love. I even have some honorable mentions, you guys. Starting off with Shin Megami Tensei 5, I want to do an honorable mention. I don't play video games much, but when I have in the past couple months, it's always been Shin Megami Tensei 5. I just haven't finished it. But it is a lot of fun and I'm really enjoying it, I guess. What do video game people say? The mechanics are really fluid. The graphics are contoured. See, I can be a fucking video game analyst. Easy. It's easy, you guys. Only other honorable mention is probably Devil May Cry 3 because I remember hanging out with friends and playing that. I guess Halo would have that same feeling. Whatever. I don't care. Good stuff. Let's get to the top 10. Number 10 is the only tie. But at least I feel like these are like thematically connected, and connected by console would be two PS1 horror games, Silent Hill and Parasite Eve. I loved these games growing up. I had a PS1 console in the house. Silent Hill would scare the shit out of me, but I think that Parasite Eve was like a far more gripping adventure and far more like it was as if it was made by a lunatic. And I really enjoy Parasite Eve. It's a cool game. They're both really cool games. They both really scared me. And that's the thing about video games, right? Because like a movie can give you a nightmare and it's fine. But a video game that gives you a nightmare, like you're actually interacting with your fears. And there's some, I think, visceral component of the experiential quality of playing something like Silent Hill and Parasite Eve, and you're terrified and you actually overcome your fears and defeat the level. Um, Something should probably be said or studied about artfully gamifying trauma and how you can work through it within a point system, right? Like it is weird. It is weird, but like there's so much within video games that I think deserve and require analysis. I refuse to be that person, but there's so much there. And Silent Hill and Parasite Eve are really cool games, and they're at number 10. Number 9 is Grand Theft Auto Vice City because, grew up with it and really liked the era, really liked the references, really liked the vibe. I remember I like replayed it a few years ago on the PC, and it was like driving through a neighborhood you grew up in. It was so weird. I was like, yo, the club's right up here, no big deal. I liked it when you got 3 stars in Miami Vice cops try to murder you. It was just fun. Ray Liotta, whatever. It's just something I grew up with. And you gotta love the controversy around it. Maybe I could tie like maybe 9 will be another tie with Grand Theft Auto and Doom, the first one, because I do remember like the controversial qualities, but my parents were really they were either really cool or they were really neglectful and didn't care what I did. And I got to play both of those games. Number 8, fittingly, is Final Fantasy 8. It's my favorite Final Fantasy game. It's another PlayStation 1 game. Squall, I think is like relatable to the max. I think Squall is fucking awesome. I love how angsty that game is, and I love how it's almost like an anti JRPG in a large way. It makes it like difficult to play. And then it makes it very easy to break the mechanics of it. It's a game that shouldn't work and maybe wasn't designed to work in the way that I like to play it most, but I still love everything about it. I love the atmosphere. I love the characters, especially Squall. I love the twists and the turns, and I definitely love the angst more than anything else. I love that it is a fucking rad game with some bad attitude, bro. I love Final Fantasy VIII. Squall is, yeah, I mean, I don't know, probably my favorite video game character. I just love the perpetual angst that he's consumed by. I think he's fucking cool. And that gun sword, my God. Yeah, Squall's just a fucking goat for life. I love him. Final Fantasy VIII's really cool. Number 7 is Street Fighter 2, and this is primarily due to like, oh, okay, so I can honestly use the term mechanics because there is such like a fluid motion. Like when you're playing it on an actual cabinet in an arcade, there is such a fluid motion that just makes sense. And uh, because that's something that it has over film, over anything else but performing. Because with games, you are a performer within the art, right? You triggers the best parts of the art. You can make the art combo. You can combine different components of the art with other components within the same art and string together a melody. That's what makes video games so cool. And maybe Street Fighter 2 is one of the best examples of this. It's on my list first and foremost because the mechanics are actually it's a perfectly designed game. Um, but why it's here, like first and foremost, is because of memories I have of arcades and playing that game, slamming your quarters down, you play winner or whatever. That's a good game. If you're wondering, my main was who the fuck was my main? Oh, I really liked Sagat. I was a Sagat player. I wasn't a very good one. That's why it took me so long. Sagat's a really good character for me to play. Anyway, yeah, great game. At number six is Fez, made by Phil Fish. There are auteurs out there in video games. You know, Phil Fish, Kojima. There are auteurs. Phil Fish was one of them, and he was one of them who like he only made one game, but there was such an artistic signature. There was an authorial stamp all over that game. Fez is wild. Fez got me into like string theory and the darkest, most complicated and mind-blowing avenues of advanced theoretical physics that I've ever engaged with. The gameplay is really fun. I love the design. I think Fez is adorable. And I think it's on there because when it came out, like I was active playing it, and there was a whole community of people online like deciphering it and figuring out its puzzles and decoding it, like the in-game language. Um, it was perfect. It was really fun, and yeah, those were cool days. Those were cool days playing Fez and trying to decipher it with other Fez players. Good game, good indie game. Number five is Resident Evil 4. Sometimes Leon Kennedy is the only man who understands me. I love Resident Evil 4. I think this game's been talked about to death, and we all know why it's good. It definitely marked a changing point within the Resident Evil franchise, but I could give a fuck about purity. Resident Evil 4 is just a purely enjoyable experience, and I love the atmosphere. I love the mechanics. I love Leon Kennedy. I love Ada Wong to fucking pieces. My God, Ada, kill me, slay me, please. Leon Kennedy is a great hero. I love the game. It's just a great game. You can play it a lot and aged perfectly. It's aged perfectly well. I love Resident Evil. Oh, War. What is next, guys? Number four. Okay. A pretty new game, but I don't think I would have gotten through um I wouldn't have gotten through like lockdown or the last couple years without it. But Hades for the Switch. Uh, yeah, it's at number four. I can play this game nonstop. It's so much fun. The mechanics are great. The art design is wonderful. The level design is perfect. Everything about this game is like to die for. I think Hades is a perfect video game, and that's why it's at number four on my list. I think Hades is amazing. Fuck yeah, Hades. Okay, it got me through a lot. Yeah, this game rules. Came out at the perfect time too when I needed something like this. Hades number four, masterpiece. A masterpiece of a game. I'm going to play it directly after I finish editing this video, to be honest, because it's so fucking good, dude. Love this game. Number three is Tomb Raider for the PlayStation 1. I love Tomb Raider for the PlayStation 1. Um, Lara Croft, great hero, obviously, but I love the platforming. I love the puzzle solving. I love the level design. I also love how scary it honestly is. But that's a game that I played so much, and I actually like I memorized it, right? Like I could maybe speed run that game. I know that game like the back of my hand. I love the feeling. I know a lot of people hate the controls of the at least the first three or four Tomb Raider games. But I love them. I love the way Lara operates. I think it's such a great game. Um, the atmosphere is incredible. The limitations of the PlayStation software afforded like a real feeling of mystery, of dread to so much of the first Tomb Raider game, and I love it. I think the level design's excellent. I think that I just I love the music. Like that's a masterpiece to me as well. That game may have changed me a bit because I do really genuinely have a lot of affection for it. I love the first Tomb Raider. Number two is Metal Gear Solid by Hideo Kojima, an auteur within gaming. He tends to make these like anti-video games that are hella focused on cinema, but Hideo Kojima is maybe one of the greatest postmodern artists of the last 30 years. And I think Metal Gear Solid, the PlayStation 1 classic is his best, his greatest triumph. Um, He is so much more intelligent and like he's honestly a philosopher of sorts. He is 10 times smarter than any of his influences are, you know? Like you could go on for hours about the postmodern brilliance of Metal Gear Solid. It's saying so fucking much about how we experience art, about how we experience games, about the cinematic underpinnings of the death of all forms of popular media or war even or how media is warfare, how art is warfare. It's so fucking good, okay? And for being an anti-video game, it's incredibly fun to play, but then it's deliberately aggravating as fuck to play, and then you're grateful and just in awe because of that deliberate aggravation because it increases the feeling. It elevates it to a place of you're making a point, and I'm understanding it because I love you, my dude. Metal Gear Solid's great. I'm not going to go into it too much here. There actually are a lot of great Metal Gear Solid analysis videos out there that would do it way better than I could. I'm just telling you, it's extremely complicated and one of the greatest pieces of popular postmodern art available. And I think it's really unique because it's completely you can engage with it completely. It's kind of it's interactable. It's a huge experience. It's wonderful. Thank you. But number one favorite video game. This thing, this Game Boy Advance, and I was obsessed with this thing when I was a wee lad. I played it all the fucking time. Went back to playing it now. Uh, my mind's eye forgot that you can't see fucking anything on this screen. So I play now with like a big old reading light, like this far away from it, so I can see what's actually happening. Did anyone else have that same like experience revisiting the Game Boy Advance console? Like I go back to playing it and you can't see anything on it. Like yeah, I don't really know if you can see it, but it's definitely playing the number one game right now. The number one game in my life is in here still. It's it's Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect game. You want to talk about an atmosphere of dread. You want to talk about a great hero. You want to talk about some incredible twists and turns with the plot. You want to talk about immaculate level design. You want to talk about mind-blowing game mechanics. You want to talk about the rhythmic, cathartic, visceral feeling of actually operating these characters and engaging with the art itself. You want to talk about life-changing video games. The only one I know of is Metroid Fusion. Maybe if I could be nice, if I could open this fucking thing. Like, I also played a lot of Zero Mission though. Zero Mission is also great. I think it's a more pure, heavy quotation marks, a more pure 2D Metro experience. But for me, it is Fusion all the way through. This is my favorite video game in the world. I think it's so much fun to operate. I think it's incredible. I could play it nonstop. It's another one that I could possibly speed run. I know like all the secrets, I know all the fun shit about it, and there's so much fun shit about it. And it's so scary and it's so nerve-wracking, and it never loses its touch. I played the game like hundreds of times, and I'm still scared of the SAX clone of me fucking every time it shows up. The effortless feeling of dread when Fusion is on. And even as a 32-year-old dude, when I have this on and I got the headphones blaring and, every light available flashing on the screen so I can actually see what the fuck I'm doing, when I'm in that zone, I'm like, oh my God, it's so fucking perfect. So immersive, so incredibly, it engulfs you in its feeling of dread and uh, morbid mystery and adventure. I love Metroid Fusion. I think Samus is the best video game character ever. And yeah, I played Dread. Love Dread. Metroid's my favorite video game series. I love Zero Mission. I love Metroid Fusion the most. I love Metroid Dread a lot. Super Metroid. If you don't like Super Metroid, then I simply don't trust your opinion on anything. I haven't played Samus's Return. I haven't even played the remake of it, so I can't really speak on that. The original NES Metroid, like, ugh, it's rough. I'm so happy Zero Mission exists because it's a masterpiece. And I believe that's it for 2D Metroid. Uh, Not a big fan of Prime. Not a big like first-person shooter guy, but doesn't matter, okay? Metroid Fusion is a perfect game. I fucking love it. Masterpiece. Could play it anytime, anytime in the world. I might play it. I might run through the whole fucking game when I'm done replaying Hades, like I said I would, because it's so much fun. Yeah, this has been my video game video. I also like the Phoenix Wright games a lot, but can't really talk about gameplay. I can talk about how insane the writers are and how funny they can be. I like Phoenix Wright a lot too. Throw that at the last minute as an honorable mention. This has been my video game video. I don't have too many insightful things to say about it, but you guys have asked in the comments if I play video games, and I don't really, but I definitely have. And I definitely believe in the power of the medium itself. I think that video games are the only relevant art form right now. I said at the beginning, I think that ballet, I think that live dance and video games are the two most powerful art forms, period. But I might be the only person that I know who appreciates ballet. As the perfect mode of art that it is, that it truly is. Ballet is not incredibly important to culture, but video games are definitive of culture. Video games primarily built the lexicon that we all inhabit at the moment. Video games are incredibly relevant, and video games deserve attention. And film's fucking dead, so maybe it's time we all jump ship. Uh, before we ourselves become relics. Thank you for watching my video. My name's Zach. I'm your cold boyfriend. Have a phenomenal day, okay? Bye.